Hey everyone, my name is Chris Lambert, co-host of Watching the Throne, a lyrical analysis of Kanye West, the #1 Kanye podcast. And this is the Kanye News Rundown for Tuesday, July 3rd, 2018. And we kick off with this Pitchfork article discussing the good music rollout. And it used to be that I would get excited about Pitchfork articles relating to Kanye, and that is no longer a thing that I feel. I'm going to be doing a breakout episode specifically about this article. If you want to tune into that, it's what I'm going to be recording next, so should already be up on the channel. But really, it's just a very opinionated overview of this version of Good Fridays, going through each album, and really like subjective, oftentimes illogical takes. And I guess the main point that I have an issue with is that it starts off by praising the initial Good Friday releases as this monumental, unbelievable thing, and comparing that to the rollout that we just got, and just tearing apart every little detail about this rollout and framing it in such a negative way that it's a failure. But the original Good Friday release wasn't some smooth thing. Songs were arriving randomly, they were arriving late. 12 of the 15 songs aren't even songs that really get talked about anymore, mentioned at this point. So while Good Fridays is remembered as this wonderful thing, the content that came from it isn't necessarily that impactful. So I think it's just a good example of how so much of the journalistic content at this time is short-term reactionary rather than long-term considerate. So if you want to hear more thoughts on that, check out the other video. But let's move on, shall we? Here's an interview from Pigeons Planes by Eric Skelton. The Wyoming Experience, an interview with the world-famous Tony Williams. And this is, I think, a must-read from the content in this episode of whatever it is that I'm doing here. But it's a really great interview, really substantial, absolutely worth checking out. Then we get Elite Daily, 8 Kanye West quotes about Kim Kardashian that are hashtag relationship goals. So if you're a Kanye fan and can't get enough about Kanye talking about Kim, these are pretty good. Check that one out. Gossip Cop, one of my favorite articles is always, or some of my favorite articles are the Gossip Cop articles, because they really just tear down all the shitty gossip rag articles. So Kim Kardashian, Kanye West have secret pact to fake public relationship. And fiction. Definitely a fiction. Though it's interesting they give it a fiction of a 1 rather than 0. They don't really get into why it's a 1 rather than a 0, but they really shit on the concept. E-News, how Kim Kardashian and Kanye West just ended up stronger than ever after their wild year. This article by Natalie Finn doesn't give any new information, but for people that may not have followed every nuance of Kanye's 2018 and the relationship dynamics between Kim and Kanye and want to get caught up on everything that's been going on between them and a lot of just everything that's been going on in the world of Kanye in 2018, this article does that. It really spends time going through each little bit, and it's a long piece, and I think rewards, I mean, it keeps going. Even after I scrolled up, there was more. So it's a good recap. And if you need a recap, this is the recap you should read. DJ Booth, Kanye wrote Ye in 8 days, but half of Yeezus was reportedly written in 2 hours. And this is by Donna Claire Chessman, who actually we have a story scheduled with. She's been writing a lot of the Kanye content for DJ Booth, and has some really great pieces like the Kids See Ghosts review and some other articles regarding the release of the Wyoming projects and Ye. So really excited to be talking to her. in this article, the main thing I wanted to point out is, yes, Kanye wrote Ye in 8 days, but it doesn't mean that he hadn't been thinking about the themes and the topics, and that he didn't just adjust those themes and topics to some of the new relevant material that he was working on. I think a personal example of that, I was working on a novel back in 2011 and 2012, and that novel had a specific theme that I was developing, and then my mom died, and I scrapped the novel and started it fresh. A lot of the same ideas are there, but my mom passing changed how I went about talking about them. Same themes, but my mom passing changed how I went about talking about them. That novel came out in 2015, which is cool, though inspired by sad events. But that's just something that you can have something impact your work as an artist that changes the details of the work, but it doesn't necessarily change what you're going for. And I do think that that means that the lyrics on Ye are a little bit more raw than what they would have been, but it doesn't mean that it's lacking the artistic nuance or depth that we would expect from Kanye. And I think as we've gone through doing our lyrical and our narrative and thematic deconstructions of the album on our podcast, we're still seeing Kanye do some amazing things. So it's not like the album is considerably lacking just because he reworked it in the last 8 days up until release. Same thing with Yeezus. He maybe put down the lyrics or put down the vocals 2 hours before the album was supposed to be sent off, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't sitting there thinking about them for months, that he hadn't been working through concepts in his head and honing them for months. One of the things he said about My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was that it was the first time he ever wrote down the lyrics, which meant that, College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation, 808s were all him memorizing things and thinking through the album in his mind before recording it and putting it down. So it's not like he's always been writing down lyrics and just last second came up with random shit for Yeezus in the last 2 hours. He just went about his same process, just didn't put the lyrics down until 2 hours before the album came out. So I just want to clarify that doing things at the last minute doesn't mean that there wasn't work being done up until the last minute. The top 10 songs of the month, and this is from Consequence of Sound, and it was just cool to see some of the Wyoming projects on here. Gonna Love Me by Teyana Taylor, Kids See Ghost, Reborn. What else? Ghost Town coming in at number 3. Ha. And St. Vincent at number 1. So if you're looking for 10 songs to listen to, I'm sure you probably heard 3 of them, but looking for 7 other songs, there you go. But cool to see Ghost Town making it to number 3 and other Wyoming projects on there. I guess Push is not on there because it came out in May, but I still wish Push was on there, And this is an article on Inquisitor.com, which I don't think I'd typically link to, but it had a little bit of an interesting twist to this article. Kanye West reveals unexpected musical inspiration from famed self-help guru. And this is getting into the New York Times interview again. It's been an interview that's produced 1,000 articles across the internet. But Christopher Barella here did something that I really liked. And instead of just saying that Kanye worked with Tony Robbins and used the scream therapy, which is one of the first things that we learned from the New York Times interview, it's that Chris connects more of Tony Robbins' teachings to Kanye's content on Ye, and looking for connections between how Kanye might have been inspired by Tony Robbins and the kind of things that he spoke about on Ye. For example, This is clearly not a stretch to draw parallels to, as songs such as I Thought About Killing You, Yikes, and Ghost Town all reflect the delivery of Robin's self-affirmation at his shows. The open proclamation of suicide and contemplating murder on I Thought About Killing You directly correlates with one of Robin's core principles of identifying and sharing your deepest issues. So, not to just rip all of Chris's content, if you want to read it in detail, go ahead and click. I think just getting to that last paragraph and thinking it over and re-listening to the album might provide some more insights. Lastly, the Yeezus book was, I guess, temporarily available on Amazon now. It should be in stock again soon. As you can see, I made a purchase already. But if you wanna buy this book, and it is a great book, you can go ahead and buy it either from kingshotpress.com or through Amazon. An explosive view of one of the most hotly debated rap records of all time. Shit's cool. 200 pages. I wish I had some example pages to show you of the art that's inside of this. It's not only something that will fundamentally change the way you listen to Yeezus as an album, but the art and style of the book is very coffee table-y, collector's item-y, where you just want to flip through and get some of the visuals. So I hope you get yourself a copy, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Be back one of these days this week. See ya.